Ekonomide ve pazarlamada dayanıklılık için ilham verici reçeteler başlıklı sunumları dinleyeceğiz değerli isimlerden. 3 değerli konuşmacımız var. Her biri önce sunumunu gerçekleştirecek. Ardından da kısa bir panel izleyeceğiz. Moderatörümüz de Ece Ertürk, Ipsos Kalitatif Araştırmalar Hizmet Birimi lideri. Önce sunumu için Ipsos Latin Amerika Bölge CEO'su Alex Grönberger'i davet ediyoruz alkışlarınızla. Welcome.
Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so how was lunch? Good. It's funny, when they choose to talk about science, they bring people from the UK, technology from the US and China. Talking about crisis, Argentina. Here I am. Thank you. Okay, crisis. How do you define that? Is it coming? Not coming up? You're still having lunch, my chart. It will be here in a minute. There you go. So we could define this as a banking crisis, currency crisis, speculative bubbles and crashes, recessions and depression. But today, we really do not care about that. We care about the people that's affected by the crisis, the people we want to talk to every day. And a crisis for us, for every person, means a huge, deep personal change. It comes with an identity crash. So we are not who we are anymore after that. Why is that? So we see people going live, showing how they progress. They're doing fine, better, providing for their families, respecting the mandate from their parents, doing better and growing, and showing that, getting signs of what they buy, what they consume, better house, better car, better everything. When they cannot do that any longer, they cannot prove their success. If I can buy, then who am I? So really it's an important crash, an important blow on every person's confidence when they cannot do that. And we are trying to talk to these people. We need to understand that and go with them through this process. So we talk about going through process of crisis. In Latin America, we have nothing but that. So we have the tequila effect over there in Mexico, in Ecuador. They were so sick and tired of the devaluations that they eliminated the local currency altogether. So they have dollars. So maybe it's an idea. So we have Venezuela, Lavallato. In Peru, we have 3 former presidents in jail because of that. And, well, Argentina. Argentina, at the beginning of the last century, was among the top 14 global powers in terms of economic development. And it had a 20% above income per capita on the average of these 14. A few years later, so we led less than half. And that stopped in 2007. It's actually, it's at much lower right now. But it doesn't stop at some point necessarily. This is Venezuela, 2.3 million% inflation. So can you imagine that? It means that every time you go buy something, in average, every 2 to 3 weeks, prices double. So if you went buy a ham once, then you go 2-3 weeks later, it's double the price. Then 10% of the population is gone, and everybody wants to go if they can. And then this continues down to violence, 41 homicides a day. Means it's one of the largest and the scariest countries in the world. So this, when you think about a crisis and what that can bring, in a person's mind, they think about this circle. So starting with currency devaluation and inflation, So the big operators are not going to invest in this economy much more. So there's going to be a recession and therefore unemployment. I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose the way I'm providing to my family. Are we getting to more poverty? And then once you are into that circle, you had not much to lose. So then you will see all this violence picking up and then going on and on and on. So we need to think about this when trying to talk to the same consumers that we're talking before this crisis. They are now thinking in a different way. So the first thing is this uncertainty, this perception of big loss. It's scary. But on the other hand, what they're doing now is looking for a place to shelter friends, family, someone that is close to them, that understands them, and will not let them fall down. So you'll see is a reshuffling of our dear Maslow pyramid. Before, people wanted to go up and be successful, highly recognized by their peers, and show off what they had. Now they're really going down to deeper old values, basic values, being there, providing close family and friends. And this is something that we need to think across everything that we do in our marketing jobs every day. Everything, so I'm just, for the sake of organization, I put these things across the four corners, so the old 4 Ps in marketing. So let's start with the product. So as personal values change, so do brand choices. So we know that brands have a badge value. So when I choose Starbucks, for example, up there, so I'm trying to express or project myself like an urban professional, successful, and I go walk down the city with my Starbucks badge in it, and look at me. I can pay $4 for a cup of coffee. When I go with Coca-Cola, right there, it is like a homie, the one thing that came with me for a long time, happiness when I was a child, with friends. So these badges are really important for my identity. So if I can, I will try to keep them. So the most obvious and first thing that brands would do in order to connect with these people and try to provide them the same thing in a way that they can afford. So what will you do? So you have new forms, smaller packages, affordable presentations, like Nescafe right here. So instead of showing off with a $4 cup of coffee, they have these pouches that you have like a 5-cent cup of Nescafe coffee. And interesting how they communicate that. This the formato ahorro. Ahorro in Spanish means savings, but not economy. It means savings in the way of a savings account. You can keep money on the bank. You can save this for other things if you switch to us. So what we have to do is innovate on these things, change this way, keep the identity value of your brand, and offer them in new creative ways. So what you do is downscaling in a way that would not affect the product essence. So this right here, you know what this is? This is milk. In Argentina, now 97% of fluid milk is sold in plastic bags. Every house has a plastic bag holder, and all they do is recycle that. It's very good for the planet, by the way, but it's very cheap. And people are very happy to keep on doing this. Unilever did the same thing with pouches for Dove, Lux. So the same good old brands now with this new packaging. And the thing is, if you don't do it from the company side, somebody else will. So what you see here in these bottles there, these are small retailers that bought from Unilever, the Unilever industry provider, the big bulk of cleaners, and people will go to them and they will partition that. You go with your little bottle and they'll do it for you. It's a lot cheaper, a lot good, and people feel smart about doing this. This is interesting. So they're doing a better job as a household manager saving in things that would not matter. So we can surf on this wave and do stuff that show what I call smart and visible cost cuts. Cut costs and show them that you are cutting this cost to make it more affordable, but without touching the product. So this is one of the things that Coca-Cola...
Rabia. Eso es lo que me pasa cuando me doy cuenta de que las cosas no sirven más, que todo es descartable. Lo que realmente vale es vivir retornable, sentir que vale la pena, que podemos reciclar lo que somos, la familia, los amigos, los valores, lo que sabemos que está bien. Vivir retornable puede sonar como algo que ya se dijo una y otra vez. Esa es la idea. Vivamos más retornables.
And using that to launch the redeemable Coca-Cola bottle. It's interesting, they're not thinking about saving the environment without throwing plastic out like they're doing somewhere else. They're doing is, you don't need to pay for packaging because we can reuse it. So we are reducing the cost in a smart, visible way, and for you to keep on going on with Coca-Cola. This one is from Kellogg's. So they're really showing visibly that they're changing the packaging, saving on colors, saving on print, on carton, and they're not touching the inside. The same good old, but now, so smart and visible cost cut. Now, the one thing that we say is condemnable, the one thing that really is going to stop is show off. Conspicuous consumption is damned. So all this glitter and gold and success that you're showing before with your, I don't know, your Porsche that you get there and all this Louis Vuitton showing that how great you were on success. The more we do that, the more we are going to be perceived as losing touch with reality. So something that could have worked very well until one point, and in here we said if you lose touch with your friends, family, and show off and see you in a different place, this is bad. This is bad. So on the other side of the same coin is the moment to launch and explore B brands. So B brands are there's nothing that Unilever will do beyond changing the packaging of Lux with the Lux brand. But yes, they could launch new brands like Plus Bell here, which is half the price of a Sunsilk. And this is, people are really looking into see these things. So we see ABI brands, Unilever brands, Danone brands. And again, if we don't get into the B brands, like these click guys are doing in Venezuela, they own 90% of the market, and they carried away all the other players. So the one thing about these B brands is they'll probably not go away after the crisis. They might stay there for a long time. As I showed before, Argentina had been going through crisis after crisis for a long time. Only last year, B brands kept on growing. And in the last 6 months, 6 out of 10 Argentinians have recently changed to these cheaper brands. So B brands are really something that needs to be given a good consideration. What about durable goods? And so they are the ones that are fastest affected by a crisis like this, because people just postpone renewing the article. They will keep the car a little longer, the refrigerator a lot longer. So we need to be smart about keeping this going. And the way to do that is understand how these people are managing their finances. So what is that have to look at? So probably need to go to a little behavioral research, as Colin was saying before. But it's about monthly payment affordability. So can I throw this in the credit card? Okay, I can get another $15 per month on my credit card, and I can still do that, so promote that. Best total price, the lowest price, opportunistic value, get the super best, at the lower price today because, I mean, we have a lot of stock, so it's very credible that you're finding a great thing for a great price. But we need to understand how people understand their finances and how they're managing that. That's a big thing. And talking about price, when we go to the other corner. So price goes up 2-3 steps up in the ladder, in the dimension ladder of what things are important when we make a choice. We could say this is never going to be the case. It's a rational thing, but this is really system 2 will take more prevalence in a moment of crisis than a regular moment. So these purchases are really more rational and a little more functional, and it is important that we are clear about how we communicate the price. Why do I say that? If consumers get confused by the way we are communicating, because we have 80% discount on the second one, but the third one you have a 90%, and then you bring back, this is going to feel like cheating and dishonest, and really this is going to harm the total equity of the brand. So there's a lot of relevance of the out-of-pocket value. So it's not just the price when you calculate, price per milliliter or whatever. It is the out-of-pocket that we showed before, smaller packages, new ways of presenting the product. And of course, we will see on the retailers going crazy about promoting the best price in town. I don't know if you've seen this already, but on the Sunday papers and Saturday papers, everything you see is 90% is going to be about that. So the problem with that, of course, is maybe you will sell a lot because Walmart is having a great price for your brand. But of course, this affects the perception of the value of the brand. So the way to work with that is work your price perception and promotions in things that you can manage. Don't let that manage the retailer themselves. They will still do it, but try to promote value in ways that you are connecting the brand with other things that are great value, great price, but connected to the equity of the brand. Place, which is the distribution, big effect on the shopper behavior. Of course, we could see in some markets a big shift into the e-commerce platforms, but also going back to the traditional shopping way. So people are not going to be doing these big planned purchases like they did before. They're going to go to those smaller purchases, going to the corner shop, going to the mom and pop store, door-to-door services. So these places may offer also, okay, take it now and you can pay at the end of the month if you have this credit in that place. So this will grow. Also, what we saw very interestingly is the access of consumers to the wholesaler. So the wholesalers have much better prices in general. So some of them, what they do, they will group up with neighbors and friends to get a big purchase and go to the wholesaler. Some of them have done a very interesting app. So they have the leader of the block in the neighborhood. They'll connect all the neighbors, and they purchase online on this particular app. And the leader go and makes the purchase for all of them and distribute it in the block. So what we saw, again, this is data from Argentina. Last year, the wholesaler sales are up 30%, and the hypermarkets and supermarkets are down 14 or 8%. So I think Jill was saying that necessity is the mother of innovation. These people are doing this all the time. So we need to go with them and change with them or be ahead of them in these changes. Finally, promotion or advertising communication. So they do not have the same hierarchy of values now than they had before. So if you keep communicating the same things, you're going to be probably connected to the people that caused this crisis. So you're pushing for this high price brand, and now everybody doesn't have money, and you keep on saying the same thing. You're really going to be pointed out as responsible for the suffering they're having now. Get to understand what the values are today, and make sure that you communicate in this new language. This is an example of one company that sells development, apartments, houses in Brazil. I'm going to show you the advertising before and after the crisis. And the first one, this is in Portuguese, so I'm going to tell you a little before what you're going to see. So this is the advertising. The idea is based on this memory game, like I went to the supermarket and I bought milk. And the next person said, I went to the supermarket and bought milk and butter. And the third one, I went to the supermarket and bought milk and butter and cookies. So that's the way it goes, but this time they're shopping for an apartment.
Edifício toda construtora entrega. Edifício em rua tranquila, em bairro da moda, perto de tudo, quase todas. Edifício em rua tranquila, em bairro da moda, perto de tudo, com lazer completo, ou um pouco menos. Edifício em rua tranquila, em bairro da moda, perto de tudo, com lazer completo, com metrô na porta, só conheço algumas. Edifício em rua tranquila, em bairro da moda, perto de tudo, com lazer completo, com metrô na porta, que entrega no prazo, tá ficando difícil. Edifício em rua tranquila, em bairro da moda, perto de tudo, com lazer completo, com metrô na porta, que entrega no prazo, sofisticado, com vizinho bacana, vizinha bacana, porteiro legal que brinca com seu cachorro. Ufa, só um segundo. Deve ter umas 3. Edifício em rua tranquila, em bairro da moda, perto de tudo, com lazer completo, com metrô na porta, que entrega no prazo, sofisticado, com vizinho bacana, vizinha bacana, porteiro legal que brinca com seu cachorro, com vaga na garagem.
Não é hora de arriscar. Em momentos de insegurança é que surgem grandes oportunidades. A Gafisa zerou os riscos. Se perder o emprego, fica até 6 meses sem pagar. E se o seu apartamento Gafisa desvalorizar e anunciarmos por um preço menor, você recebe a diferença. Se as taxas continuarem a subir, você tem taxa zero com parcelas fixas durante as obras. É o risco zero Gafisa. Aproveite a força da Gafisa para comprar agora o seu apartamento com segurança.
A Gafisa desafia você a encontrar um negócio melhor.
You're not going to pay the mortgage for 6 months until you find a new job. If the interest rates go down, go up for everybody, you keep your interest rate as you discussed with us at the beginning. So it is, I'm going with you, risk-free, go with that, make the jump, and probably it's the only way they can sell an apartment in a moment like that. So it's a big change on how they did it. Again, in communication, really prioritize the basic values, family, friends, security. This is what they need now. In an uncertain and fear and scary world, this is what they will need now. So you would see in a Heineken advertising before the crisis, you will see big parties on yachts and everybody is like fantastic, having a great time in this fantastic place. After the crisis, you will see probably the same group of people, but now on a bonfire at the beach, and I don't know, just having a few beers and some music, and having the same fun, but not in a flashy way. And the other thing very important we saw today in a crisis is show you care. So corporate social responsibility is big. This morning also was mentioned these things about brands being frenemies. So being your friend and helping you through the crisis, but at the same time, you are the enemy because you were part of one of these big corporations that sucked our blood, and that's why we're in the situation we are. So corporate social responsibility is an important thing at this point. Okay, so in the crisis, everything is going to change. And at the end of the crisis, we'll see some people that are going to be winners, and some of them are going to be losers. Yeah? So I'm going to give some tips, some things that we learned, or what we got to do in order to be on the winner side. So the first thing is really understand these people are different. So they said they look the same, but now the values are very different. We need to make sure that we understand that and we connect with them. But then people will move on. People will move on. So we could see we could confront this crisis as an opportunity to get us in a better place, closer to the consumers, like forever. I like this thing that in the Chinese alphabet, these ideograms. When they write crisis, they combine two ideograms, danger and opportunity. So this is what we're facing. There is a moment of danger, but if we do the right moves, this could be an opportunity for us. So number one, understand people and see what they need, where they are headed. Be close to them. Be close to them. Using all the behaviors will really harm you. You got to be empathetic with them. Stay close. If you're advertising, do not disappear. I know it's the first thing you want to cut. Yeah? But if you disappear, then you say, okay, you're the brand that only with me in the good times. You have to be with them in the bad times as well. Probably in a different way, probably with more promotions, probably with digital advertising and different ways. But stay with them. Don't abandon them during the crisis. Number two, react quickly. So I love these things about Charles Darwin that said that it's not the strongest who survive, it's the one who adapts the fastest. So you have to be the fastest in there. I know there's a lot of big companies in here. Don't let the small players win. You act as a startup. Act as a startup. There's a new world, new rules out there, so they're new for everybody. So you have to understand them and play fast. Closer to this thing is act tactically. Of course, you need to understand that everything makes sense for the equity of your brand. But do not think you need to have a complete, full setup plan. Sorry, Sidar, planning is very important. But the tactics on executing right and fast is very important. New packaging here, new distribution there, new presentation on the other side, moving more to digital. Go tactically, go fast, and you will win. And number four, really be careful about what you communicate. An overpromise in good times, and people think that they will believe you and they won't care much because everything is going fine at that moment. An overpromise in a moment where people are very alert on what they do, what they buy, can kill you. So they feel that you are dishonest and they wouldn't really believe you any longer. Okay, and probably the other thing is you're not alone. No, and I think we are here to help. Our thing is understanding people, understanding the changing behaviors of these people, and we can do that for you as well. So thank you very much.